G'day there. Look, let's be honest. Planning for aged care costs in Australia can feel a bit like trying to find your way through a maze with the lights off. It's properly complicated, and there's a lot riding on it. So today, we're going to flick the switch on and give you a clear map to follow.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start by talking about just how much retirement has changed. Then we'll dive into your options for funding it, try to untangle that complex government system, point you towards where you can get some expert help, and then we'll finish up with some really crucial details you just can't afford to miss.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our heads around the new reality of retirement. This isn't your mom and dad's retirement anymore, not by a long shot. We're all living longer, which is fantastic news, but it means our financial plans have to stretch way further than they ever did before. Just let that sink in for a second. 20 plus years. If you knock off work in your mid-60s, that's how long you're likely going to be in retirement. It's brilliant that so many of us are living well into our 80s, but crikey, it throws up a massive financial challenge. Your nest egg has to last for 2, maybe even 3 decades. So you're staring down the barrel of a 20-year retirement. The big question, and sometimes it's literally a million-dollar question, is how are you going to fund it? Let's break down the main financial paths you can actually take. So this slide here lays out your 4 main tools in the toolbox. You've got your account-based pension, which is kind of like drawing a regular wage from your super. Then there's an annuity, where you pay a lump sum to get a guaranteed income. You could just take a lump sum out of your super. Or, and this is what most people do, you use a bit of a mix of all of them. The right strategy is going to be different for everyone. But hang on, it's not just about your super. The whole picture is much, much bigger than that. You've got to factor in things like the government age pension, any other benefits, what the tax man is going to want, and even the money that's tied up in your family home. As you can see, it's a giant puzzle, and all the pieces are connected. Right, let's get into what is often the biggest hurdle of all, trying to navigate this system itself. This is where all those moving parts can become a real headache. Does this look familiar? If you're feeling a bit snowed under by the sheer amount of info and how complicated it all is, I want you to know one thing. You're not alone. Far from it. This is what most people go through. And here's why it's so bloody tough. You're not just dealing with one office. You're trying to juggle Services Australia, which includes Centrelink, maybe the Department of Veterans Affairs, and the aged care providers themselves. And of course, they've all got their own forms, their own rules, and their own lingo. This slide just nails it, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the reality for so many Aussies, this tangled mess of confusing rules and what feels like endless paperwork. But the goal, over on the right, is to cut through all that noise, to get the support you're actually entitled to, to max out your subsidies and find the right care for your loved ones. So how on earth do you get from that tangled mess on the left to that clear path on the right? Well, this is where finding a guide becomes absolutely essential. You don't have to do this trip all on your own. The specific guide you really want to be looking for is an accredited aged care professional. Now, this isn't your average financial advisor. These are specialists who live and breathe the aged care system. They have been trained specifically to help people navigate this exact financial journey. And the help they give is really hands-on. We're talking about someone who can help you tackle that mountain of paperwork from Services Australia. Make sure all those tricky Centrelink or DVA forms are filled out right the first time, and they can even act on your behalf to get that crucial first assessment done. All right, as we get near the end here, we need to cover off on some essential info. This is the important fine print that really puts everything we've talked about into context. First off, full transparency. The information in this explainer is based on material from an expert in the field. To be specific, a fellow named Sean Sullivan, who's an authorized representative of Vivid Financial Planning. He holds an Australian financial services license, and you can see the number right there on your screen. And look, this leads to probably the most important point of the whole day. What we've talked about here is a general map of the territory. It's not a personalized GPS just for you. The information is general. Your family situation, your money, your needs, they're all unique. So you have to stop and think if this info is actually appropriate for you. So what's the one big thing you should take away from all of this? It's right here. For decisions this massive, getting professional advice that is tailored specifically to you isn't just a good idea, it's fair dinkum the safest and smartest way to go. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When you have a good, hard look at your own preparations, is your plan really ready for a 20-year retirement? Thanks for joining us.